Hello there, it's 6 o'clock. I'm Michelle Dewberry, and this is Dewbs & Co. Breaking news tonight. 2 Afghan not-so-small Burt migrants have just been sent to prison after abducting, essentially, and raping a 15-year-old girl. When the hell is all of this going to stop? When are our governments going to stop putting us women and our girls at risk? Also, coming up tonight, almost 1 million young people are described as NEETs, not in employment, education or training. Now, our government has a plan, so let's take a look. And the Tories are talking tough on grooming gangs. There's a lot that we need to discuss there. And the former footballer Joey Barton has received a 6-month prison sentence, suspended for tweets. What do you think to that? All of that and lots more. Here's my panel for the night. The head of policy at Reform UK, Zia Youssef. Alongside him, the Labour MP, Barry Gardner. But before we get stuck in, let's give you your 6 o'clock news headlines.
Thanks, Michelle. Good evening to you. 1 minute past 6 in the GB newsroom. 2 17-year-old Afghan asylum seekers have been sentenced to lengthy youth detention terms for the rape of a teenage girl. Jan Yahanzib was given 10 years and 8 months, with Israr Niazal sentenced to 9 years and 10 months for the attack which took place in Leamington Spa in May. The court heard the pair led a highly distressed 15-year-old victim into a secluded parkland area before attacking her. The judge at Warwick Crown Court earlier lifted reporting restrictions protecting their identities because it could lead to speculation which might see innocent people being targeted. An NHS nurse who complained about sharing a changing room with a transgender doctor has won part of her employment tribunal. Sandy Peggy was suspended from her job in Fife after confronting Dr Beth Upton, a biological male who identifies as a woman, back in 2023. The doctor subsequently made an allegation of bullying and harassment. The tribunal ruled Ms Peggy was herself harassed by NHS Fife, but dismissed all other claims against the Health Board and against Dr Upton. Sir Keir Starmer has concluded talks with the leaders of Ukraine, France and Germany aimed at ending the war against Russia. They've spent 2.5 hours discussing the latest revisions to Donald Trump's plan, which is putting pressure on Ukraine to make territorial concessions to Moscow. Earlier, the Prime Minister said any deal to end the war must include hard-edged security guarantees to prevent against future Russian aggression. It comes after Donald Trump expressed disappointment that President Zelensky was yet to read the US draft, claiming Vladimir Putin's fine with it. Emmanuel Macron claims Europe holds a lot of the cards in negotiations, while Friedrich Merz, the German Chancellor, says he's sceptical about some details coming from the US side. 2 more people have been arrested following a pepper spray incident at London's Heathrow Airport. It took place yesterday morning when a woman was robbed of her suitcase in a multi-storey car park at Terminal 3. A 24-year-old man in Lambeth has been arrested on suspicion of robbery and assault, and a 23-year-old woman arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to commit robbery. That's in addition to the 31-year-old man arrested yesterday on suspicion of robbery and assault. Former Premier League footballer Joey Barton's been sentenced to 6 months in custody, suspended for 18 months for sending offensive social media posts. Barton referred to the broadcaster Jeremy Vine using a slang word for a paedophile and called the football pundits Lucy Ward and Eni Aluko. Well, he compared them to Rose and Fred West, the serial killers. The judge described Barton's attacks as targeted, extreme and harmful, adding they were racially aggravated. Finally, a tsunami warning has been issued after a large earthquake off the coast of Japan. The country's meteorological agency is warning the potential for 10-feet-high waves after the 7.6 magnitude quake struck off Japan's northeastern coast. It happened around 11:15 local time, around 2:15 in the afternoon here. The epicenter understood to be some 50 miles off Japan's northeastern coast at a depth of 30 miles. Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi says a response team has been established to assess the damage and assist evacuation. Those are your headlines. I'll be back with more later. Now it's over to Michelle.
Thank you. you very much for that, and hello, good evening to each and every single one of you. How are you tonight? I do hope that you are well. My name's Michelle Dewberry. This is Dewbs & Co, and we're keeping you company until 7 o'clock tonight. Alongside me, as I just mentioned, Head of Policy at Reform UK, Zia Youssef, and alongside him, I've got the Labour MP, Barry Gardner. Gents, you're both very welcome tonight. Of course, as are each and every single one of you, join the conversation in all the usual ways. You can email me, gbviews@gbnews.com. You can go to the website, gbnews.com/yoursay, or you can tweet, or you can X me. Look, I better give you a bit of fair warning tonight, ladies and gents. I'm absolutely furious. I am so angry right now with the fair story that we are about to discuss. And actually, I make no apologies for my anger, and I suspect my anger will be shared by many of you at home. Let's cross live to our Home and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark White, good evening to you. Thanks for joining the programme. The story that I'm referencing regards the fact that tonight, yet again, two not-so-small boat migrants, this time from Afghanistan, have been sent to prison, this time for the rape of a 15-year-old girl. Can you bring us up to speed?
Yeah, we can show you images now of these two young men for the first time. That ban on naming them having been lifted. They are Jan Shahanzeb, who is 17. That's an estimated age because he threw his identifying documents away when he crossed the English Channel, like so many of these migrants do. So it had to be a guesstimate of his age. The other on the right is Israr Niazal. Again, his estimated age, 17. Now, both men arrived within a couple of months of each other across the English Channel, one in November, the other in January. And within a few months of that is when they committed this horrific offence. They were staying in taxpayer-funded accommodation in Warwickshire, and this incident happened in a local park, a park that is very popular with local people. A 15-year-old girl who had been out drinking with some friends in this park in May had got separated from her friends and into the company of the first one of these two men, Jan Jahanzeb. This girl did not want to be taken away. She was forcefully taken to a secluded area described as a den within this parking Leamington Spa. And while he was doing this, the girl was actually videoing this on her mobile phone. 3 minutes of very distressing content that was shown to the court, where the girl was screaming that she wanted to be let free, that she knew she was going to be raped. But this Afghan man, Jan Jahanzeb, phoned his friend Israr Niazal, who was nearby, and told him to run and help. And both men took this girl off into the secluded area where she was orally raped. Now, the judge passing sentences today of 10 months and 10 years and 8 months for Jahanzeb and 9 years and 8 months for Niazal, said that no child should have to suffer the ordeal that she suffered. It's clear from the footage we have seen that no one can seriously entertain the thought that you believed she was consenting. This is a case where it was absolutely clear to both of you that you were taking a child away from her friends in the face of her vigorous protest to somewhere that could not be observed in order to commit this offence. And the judge said she understood that these two men came from a country with very different cultural practices, but she did not accept that these two young men were not aware of the concept of consent.
Mark White, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed on this horrendous story, actually. Thank you. I've got to tell you, first and foremost, a bit too ranty, because honestly, viewers, I feel I am almost shaking internally, because we cover these stories all the time now. My blood tonight is absolutely boiling. So I do just want to say, first and foremost, that my thoughts are with this girl that was with her friends you know, doing what teenage girls do. And I mean, I must confess, I've also done similar things. Just doing things in parks, hanging out with your friends and all the rest of it. You should be safe doing those things in this country. You should be able to do that in this country. But no. Increasingly, honestly, I'm so angry. Increasingly, as a woman in this country, we are starting to feel more and more unsafe. As parents in this country, we are starting to feel our children are at more and more and more risk. When you start complaining about things like this, you are labelled in a nanosecond far right. When people locally who know the stories, who know what have gone on, they know the details, they know who these perpetrators are, when they take to the streets and say, no, we don't want these men in our communities, these pillocks with their counter signs standing there chanting, refugees welcome. We see media stories time and time again. In this case, actually, we saw a media story that tells us that two 17-year-old boys, quote, from Leamington have been charged with this. The viewers, you sit there, you read these stories, you know these people are not from Leamington. I'm so angry, Zia Youssef. And when you read the story of this family, this is a family absolutely destroyed. It's not just about this girl who has had her virginity stolen from her in the most repulsive way. Her whole family have been affected by this. The girl now suffers from anxiety so badly that she is physically sick on a regular basis. I'm supposed to be a professional, so I'm trying so hard to maintain my cool with this, and I'll come to you in a second, Barry, about what the government is doing about this. But this is an issue that Reform campaign about all the time, Zia Youssef. What do you think about this tonight?
Well, I share and echo your anger and fury, Michelle. And look, the reality is that all of this is downstream from the decisions that have been made first by the Tory government and now the current Labour government. So these two 17-year-olds came here under this Labour government. I just tweeted at Mike Tapp about this. He was talking about some nonsense about reform bots on X. And I said, listen, get off X, get off Twitter and go and do your job. They said that they were going to smash the gangs. What has happened? Over 70,000 illegal migrants have arrived on our shores uninvited under Keir Starmer's regime. That's up about 40% year on year. And listen, all of this, I'm afraid, is reliably, predictably the result of a policy which allows people to turn up on our beaches uninvited and then be granted, not just be granted free accommodation and free food, but get to roam around like this. They were staying, so the two that perpetrated this appalling act, were staying at taxpayer expense in a hotel, Michelle. And let's just look at the numbers again. Afghans are 20 times more likely to commit sex offences than British nationals. Afghanistan is amongst one of the #1 countries from which men coming to this country via small boat, or as you say, not so small boat, that's where they come from. They come from Iran, they come from Syria, they come from Afghanistan, they come from Iraq. There's nothing about this that is remotely acceptable. And by the way, on the same day, the Telegraph also has a story that people smugglers are offering discounted rates to bring people to the United Kingdom if illegal migrants swallow heroin. And God only knows how many parents are going to wake up to horrific news as a result of that. So this country, I'm afraid, is being invaded. It has happened for years now. The anger that we all feel in seeing all of this, I think there's only one answer to this. It needs to be reflected at the ballot box. We need to turf this Labour government out. We need a reform government that will secure our borders. And by the way, not just prevent any more boat crossings from coming, but anyone who came to this country needs to be illegally needs to be deported.
This girl, a 15-year-old girl, says, the day I was raped changed me as a person. I'm no longer a happy, carefree teenager. Every time I go out now, I don't feel safe. The thought of facing people at school makes me feel physically sick. Watching my older siblings and my mum feeling crushed as they believe that they should have been there or they should have done something is particularly painful for me. Her mother then goes on and says, something has broken in all of us that day. Barry Gardiner, why is your government putting us at risk like this?
Look, first of all, let me echo what you and Zia have said about the horrendous nature of this crime and my sympathy for the girl and the family. And also, I want to point out that Mike said in his report that the judge had said that he was aware that these two men came from a country with different cultural practices. Rape is not a cultural practice, and I think it was wrong for the judge to be talking in those terms. This was a crime. It should have been dealt with as a crime. And it's not about, you have to say, why is anybody, any young person, unsafe having a party in a park? They shouldn't be. We need to ensure that there is public safety. We need to be addressing that. And I'm appalled that this girl had actually called out for help to a number of people. And in fact, apparently one woman had said, "Are you okay?" And she'd shouted back that she wasn't, and she still got no help. Now, I don't know the wider context here, but I do think there is a wider duty of care for this child, because that's what she is, a child having a party with her mates in the park. Now, let me try and go to what you said about the whole issue of the small boats. Yeah, these guys have come in, and Zia alludes to the fact that now we understand the criminal gangs are encouraging, they're actually giving VIP tickets to people who will swallow, packages of heroin and then distribute it at the other end. This is a criminal operation. It needs to be dealt with as a criminal operation, and that's why we need cooperation from all the governments involved, and that is what the government is trying to do.
Right.
But
the
idea that there is a simple solution here that simply says, oh, if you change the ECHR, it'll all be all right, is simply not true.
Well, we'll come back to the ECHR in a minute. I am, honestly, as a woman, I can't even tell, and I don't normally pull this as a woman card and woman this, that's not how I roll. But on this occasion I'm going to, and forgive me, because as a woman, the very fact that you cannot just wander around and all the rest of it, and don't get me wrong, because people will start saying, oh yes, Michelle, but British men do this too. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And the very fact that British men do this as well is all the more reason why you should not be importing other men from other cultures to do it even more. That is my response to that point. When you say, Barry Gardner, about, oh, you don't think it's great that the judge referenced cultural factors and all the rest of it, it is undeniable that there is a cultural difference between many of these men and this country. Us women in this country, by and large, give or take, whatever, are normally regarded as equals to men. I'm sitting on here, I'm talking, I've got a job, whatever. In some aspects of various different parts across the land, we're not. We're backward to men. We are abused. Women are not allowed to be educated. They are sterned. They're not allowed to leave the house. They are sexually molested and all the rest of it. You know this. Your government knows this. Everybody knows this. It's never acknowledged. It's constantly dismissed. The fact is that Afghan men are multiple times more likely to commit sexual offences against us women and our children. And I'm really going to be blunt about this, and I'll probably get into trouble with this next sentence. When you import the third world into this country, you are going to end up with huge third world characteristics. And what we are seeing now, Barry, as women, when children are being molested, I can't even tell you.
I can see.
So
I can
angry.
see you're raging.
I'm so angry. I'm angry on behalf of every single one of my viewers who'll be watching this at home on their telly or listening to this in their cars, who daren't even... I got a message from a viewer saying that he has got 2 teenage daughters, and he's so worried about these men that are being placed against people's will in and amongst their communities. He feels that he daren't say anything. He feels that he's going to be called far right or racist or lose his job or get sent to prison if he says anything. Why are you not declaring a national emergency? Do you not think this is one?
Look, a national emergency elicits certain response.
Good, and I want a certain response. That's what my viewers want.
What the government is trying to do is to address the problems of the small boats coming over here in multiple ways. And
They're not small boats, by the way. The occupancy of some of these not-so-small boats, it's akin to double-decker buses, but anyway.
I mean, we're talking about something so serious, it's silly to trade names on it.
No, I'm not being silly, I'm being deadly serious. I'm sick to death of these things being dismissed as these little small lists.
I want to make the point about what I was saying about the judge. In fact, I was criticising the judge for saying that because he used it in a way that almost said, look, we understand, that we almost to excuse the fact because they came. You can't excuse this. This is simply a crime. Now, what you say about the treatment of women in Afghanistan and in other countries is absolutely right. But that's what makes it very difficult, as I'm sure you would acknowledge, to then say that some people who have a legal right to be here at the moment should be deported back to countries like that if they're women, if they are vulnerable.
These are not women.
We're conflating completely different issues. We're talking about two 17-year-old boys, Barry, who arrived here illegally against the wishes of the British people.
Right, just hold on.
They broke into the country.
I have to go to a break. I'm running over and I've been told multiple times I need to go to a break. I'm going to try and calm myself down in the break, I can tell you. And I've got a poll, Friends of GB News converting today's You Decide poll for free, don't you worry. Do you agree with me? I think that we should declare a national emergency over these not-so-small boats. I think we should have declared it a long time ago. But do you think yes? Or do you think no? Get your telephones out, take a picture of this little QR code type thing on the screen and let me know your thoughts. I shall read the results after. A bit later on, actually, towards the end of the programme. Look, I'll try and calm myself down and I'll see you in a few minutes.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dewberry, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dewbs & Co. with me, Michelle Dewberry. Till 7, Barry Gardner and Zia Youssef alongside me. Someone who calls herself Manchester Girl says, Michelle, feeling angry is an everyday occurrence these days for me. I can hear you. Emma says, Michelle, as a woman, I'm full of rage. We cannot go on like this. How many more young, innocent girls and women have to have their lives absolutely ruined? And this is the point. Tom says, Michelle, yes, we of course need to declare a national emergency. I fear for the safety of my teenage granddaughters, and they too are scared. I just think this is awful, Zia. And I'm sorry, because I was ranting so much at the top that I didn't really let you get much of a chance. Yeah, well, look, I mean, all I can do is reiterate how angry all of us at Reform are about this and state the obvious fact that if a country leaves its border open and knowingly invites, and I want to make the point, actually, you know, the judge, Barry, you criticising the judge, saying that there are cultural differences in cultural practice. I know the point you're making about the intent behind what the judge said, but the judge was telling the truth in those words. There are different cultural practices, and there's a straight line to be drawn between what the judge said there about there being different cultural norms with regards to women and the treatment of women in Afghanistan, and the fact that Afghan nationals are 20 times more likely to commit sexual offences, to be convicted of sexual offences in this country than British people are, Michelle. So, you know, you hear that refrain a lot, don't you, from the left, which is, of course, you know, British men commit sexual crimes as well. Yes, they do, but not at anything like the rate of, for example, foreign nationals from Afghanistan. And these are the people who are coming by small boat. They're coming routinely by small boat. So by choosing to leave our border undefended in this way and to create the incentive structure where these people are being, and I want to reiterate, these two criminals, these two rapists were staying in accommodation funded by the taxes paid by the people watching this programme. And I totally agree with the sentiment that we're almost running out of anger. It's almost on a daily basis we hear of the most horrific things. And by the way, we're only hearing a small fraction of the true horror, I think, because a lot of this stuff, frankly, is swept under the carpet. I'll tell you what I worry about, Barry. Many people that previously were quite moderate, they probably weren't even sometimes that politically engaged, perhaps on certain issues or whatever. The fury that I feel, it's real, and it's echoed among people. And I worry for harmony in this country. People do not feel, not only do they not feel that our politicians are doing anything, they feel that the politicians are actively responsible for what is happening. They feel that they cannot speak out. And I worry that people are getting radicalised in this country. They are becoming more extreme in their views because this issue is not being resolved. And I don't even feel that it's often even acknowledged for what it is. What would you say to viewers that feel the same way that I do tonight, Barry?
Look, I understand the absolute fury that you and your viewers have, and I share it. This is an appalling crime which should never have happened, and. But
why won't you stop it? Why won't you stop these men coming into this country?
We need to try and stop the way in which people are coming to this country through the small boats without any filtering and veto, and making sure that we're safe. Now, there are ways of doing that before and after, and that's why the range of measures that the government is pursuing, and let's face it, if this were simple, the Conservatives had 14 years to do it, they would have done it. We've had, 16, 17 months to do it, and we're trying, and we've introduced a range of new measures to try. We have not succeeded yet.
Why won't you put the Navy in the channel? Why won't you say, you know what, I'm fed up now. Too many young girls have been raped. Too many young girls have been molested.
You put the Navy in the channel, and what happens, Michelle? What does the Navy then do?
Push the boats back. What do you think they do? They don't sit there doing the Macarena. They'll push the boats back.
And so the French are then going to come and push them back into our water? What's going to happen? This is not a solution. It sounds like it's a solution.
But Barry, here's what you do. You leave the ECHR, you derogate from every single international treaty that prevents deportations, and then you detain anyone who comes to the country illegally, and then you deport them. If you do that, all of the data from across the world, from countries who have done that, demonstrates the boats will stop coming. You haven't even taken this first step yet, because the Prime Minister of your the Prime Minister of this country and the leader of your party is a human rights lawyer who has basically sworn allegiance to courts in Brussels as opposed to this country. I'm sorry, but one of the reasons why it causes so much anger is because every single crime committed by somebody who broke into the country illegally, every single rape of a British girl caused by these people is directly downstream from government policy. And look, I would echo your concerns about the Tories who had 14 years and did not solve this problem. But now it is you guys who are in governments. You can't pass the buck anymore. And you're not even willing to leave the ECHR, let alone do any of the other things.
I'm not trying to pass the buck. We are in government, and it's absolutely right that it's our responsibility to solve
But the numbers are up 40%, Barry. But forget about solving the problem, you're making the problem meaningfully worse.
Solving the problem is difficult. It's not easy. You are offering really simplistic solutions. Come out of the ECHR and you can send people back. Well, actually, you can't send people back because sometimes the countries won't take those people. Sometimes you can't prove which country they've come from. Now, these are the facts here.
Barry, you haven't even left the ECHR yet. You're not even sending people back to countries from where you know they came, and people where the countries would take them back.
Actually,
you haven't done anything.
Sorry, that again, you make a blanket statement which simply isn't true. The government.
In what way isn't it true?
It's not true because the country has sent people back. The government has sent people back, and they have deported people to the countries that they came.
Barry,
from.
what percentage of small boat illegal migrants since Labour came to power have been deported? What percentage?
Sorry, do you accept that what you said is not true? It's a blanket statement. Sounds very easy, but it wasn't.
Barry,
true.
what percentage of people who came to this country illegally since Labour came to power have been deported?
I don't know, because...
But how can you not know that? If we're going to have a discussion... I mean, surely this should be the number one salient issue.
Do you know it?
Yes, I do.
OK.
96% of the people who came here illegally are still here.
Now
4% have been deported.
Fine.
Just 4%.
Now say why, Zia, and the reason is because they have not yet had their case decided in the court.
There should be no case. If you broke into the country illegally, Barry, you do not get to stay. If somebody breaks into your home, God forbid, they do not get to stay in your home and eat at your dinner table. They are removed immediately and sent to jail, and that's exactly what should happen to somebody who breaks into our country illegally.
You see, this is the problem with you. Make it sound so simple, but
it is exceptionally simple.
It's not exceptionally simple. Under your system, how does anyone claim asylum in this country? How do they come here?
Not our primary concern right now. So if right now, I will tell you this. Here's the way you do not claim asylum: break into the country without citizens of the United Kingdom's consent. If you do that, you are detained and you are deported.
That's why an international...
Barry, Parliament in this country is sovereign. Right? The only law we care about is the law that Parliament passes.
Let him answer. Let me answer, right? That's why in international law, the mode of transport for coming to a country does not make you illegal. Now, you call them illegal because they've come here in a small boat, right? That doesn't make them illegal.
The Home Office themselves call them illegally, Barry. The Home Office themselves call that illegal.
Talk over me all you like, right? But the point is this. If you are going to allow, and we created the convention, the Refugee Convention, we created it specifically so that you could come to this country and claim asylum. We were never going to be the nearest safe country.
Barry, it was created in 1951. You might remember there was quite a lot going on at that time. And where we are now, this is why I'm saying we ought to derogate from such treaties. And look, people watching this programme, fine, look, there's a fault line in British politics right now between a political party that believes that the primacy of British people must basically live under the 1951, emphasis on 1951 Refugee Convention, as opposed to laws that their own MPs pass. And what we are concerned about is the laws that Parliament amendment passed. And I'm sorry, if you break into this country, you must not be allowed to stay.
By our own MPs. And let's be clear, I have said many times on this programme, as you well know, that we need to redo the 1951 Convention. But the idea is...
Then what point are you making? You would keep the provision that allows people to break into the country to stay. Is that what you're saying?
You keep on using the phrase because it's a blanket phrase and it sounds simple. It's not true. OK? The 1951 Convention needs changed, but the only way you change an international treaty is by working with your international partners. That's what you refuse to do.
We do not need our, quote, international partners' assistance or consent to defend our own border. That is what sovereignty means, Barry. And if you take your attitude, then this is the fundamental point. Under Labour and the Tories, this country doesn't get borders, it doesn't get sovereignty because of the 1951 Refugee Convention. It's absolutely insane.
Well, I'm going to talk over you both because I need to get to a break again, ladies and gents. If you're just tuning in, we've started the programme with that breaking news tonight that 2 Afghan migrants, so-called, off these not-so-small boats have just been sent to prison for raping a 15-year-old child in a park in Leamington. These 2 individuals were repeatedly referenced as 2 17-year-olds, quote, from Leamington, did this and this and this. Media organisations had to put pressure onto the judge to get them to lift reporting restrictions to actually allow us to know that actually these 2 guys are not so small boat migrants and they are Afghan nationals. You know, honestly, the fury that people are feeling, this has been done to us in this country. We are pushing back as individuals at the ballot box repeatedly. We are asking politicians to stop putting us and our children at risk like this. Time and time and time again, we see that it just continues. Many of you getting in touch, sharing your fury on this story. Grateful, actually, that we're not afraid to have the conversations that you guys are having in your own homes. I'm not afraid to have this conversation. I'm absolutely livid, and it needs to stop. You can tell me, though, whether or not you actually think it will any time soon. So much more that we need to discuss after the break.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The unsettled conditions arriving across the UK tomorrow will also be influencing other western areas of the Mediterranean. In fact, the rain band will extend all the way down into parts of northwestern Spain, Portugal and Madeira. Central areas of the Mediterranean, though, faring off best with some fairly decent fine and calm conditions, but we do have further showers across the far east, particularly around areas of Cyprus. For many areas, though, the week ahead does look generally dry and sunny.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. For the next 24 to 36 hours, Storm Bram is likely to cause some problems. We have warnings in place for both wind and heavy rainfall. The storm system still down to the southwest. It's been intensifying all through the day, and the rain already setting in across the southwest of England, spreading up into parts of Wales. We've had a lot of rain here recently, so this extra rainfall, we could see 100 millimetres more rain falling over the hills, is likely to cause some problems, potential for some flooding. Warnings extending further north as the rain pushes further north. Most areas turning wet by morning time. Going to be a pretty warm night across the south and increasingly windy. So warnings in place for Tuesday for both wind and rain as this weather system steadily pushes northwards. The rain may actually start to ease across some parts of the south, but further heavy pulses over the hills of southwest England and South Wales likely to cause further issues. An awful lot of rain falling over northern England, southern Scotland for that morning rush hour. So that is likely to cause a lot of spray, a lot of surface water. And then the winds really start to strengthen. I mean, they'll pick up tonight around the coast of Wales and southwest England, but strengthening further during Tuesday. You can see the swirl, that's the low pressure, that is Storm Bram, bringing particularly gusty winds through Tuesday afternoon over Northern Ireland and then strengthening into the evening over western parts of Scotland. We'll see something a bit drier developing over parts of England and Wales, maybe even some sunny spells, and the temperatures up into 15, 16 degrees, but obviously not feeling all that mild with the rain and those winds, which probably peak in the northwest of Scotland during Tuesday evening. That's why we've got an amber warning in place here. Damaging gusts of wind 70, 80, perhaps 90 miles an hour, likely to cause some disruption, the potential for power issues, strong winds across much of northern Britain through Tuesday evening as well. For the full details of all of those weather warnings, visit the Met Office website.
Thank you, Britain, for helping us reach 8 million followers across social media. Thank you for making us a part of your daily life.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The A1 northbound at the Abbotsview on slip is restricted due to a broken down vehicle. The M4 eastbound in South Gloucestershire has delays between junctions 18 and 17, clearing shortly after 7. In Cheshire East, a collision on the M6 southbound at junction 19 affects one lane, expected to clear by 8:30. Hampshire's A3 southbound near Petersfield North experiences 40-minute delays due to congestion. And on the trains, significant disruption impacts the Great Northern Network, causing delays in the Wimbledon area, affecting South Western Railway services. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Dewbs and Co with me, Michelle Dewberry, Zia Youssef and Barry Gardner. Don't forget, we're talking about a heated topic tonight, ladies and gents. I had so much stuff that I wanted to go through with you, but I've just had enough, quite frankly. Honestly, I'm not even lying, I've just had enough now. The absolute state of this country. Get your telephones out. On the screen, you've got a QR code, that black squiggly thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can scan that code. I'm asking you a very simple question. We can flesh out the details at another time. Do you think we need to declare a national emergency now over this not-so-small boat crisis? Yes or no? Of course, both opinions are welcome on Dewbs and Co. Right, I'm going to stick with the theme now. I'm on a roll because I do want to talk about the ridiculousness in this country. You won't even believe this. I hope you are sitting down. Dozens of foreign nationals basically are in this country, and they are allowed to be because of human rights. There's 170, I don't know why I'm saying dozens, there's 170 dangerous foreign nationals. They have, in some cases, 24/7 surveillance, Zia Youssef. What are we doing? What is wrong with us?
Well, this is the nexus. This is ground zero of the insane farce of this country's politicians and the whole political establishment basically being subservient to courts in Strasbourg. What we need, as I was saying earlier, we need to remember and recognise that the Parliament of the United Kingdom is sovereign, and we need to deport every single foreign national languishing in our jails, of which there are over 10,000, by the way, Michelle, costing us £600 million every year. People watching this programme, they go to work each morning, a portion of the day is spent paying for that £600 million annual expense to maintain these foreign nationals inside our jails. And before Barry comes back with this particular example of so-called dangerous countries, let's take countries like Pakistan, for example, that are refusing to take back their foreign nationals in our jails, including some, by the way, as people will know, for sexual abuse of British women. Pakistan is still being granted visas by the UK government on a daily basis, on a discretionary basis, Michelle. So once again, we're in this insane situation where the political class put the interests of every single nationality in the world ahead of the interests of British nationals. And we should remember that the purpose of the UK state is to serve UK citizens.
So out of these 170 people, more than half of these individuals are reported to, quote, have been involved in terrorism or extremism-related activities. At this rate, Barry Gardner, me and many of my viewers, we're going to get in one of these not-so-small boats and go the other direction. Honestly, I'm serious. We are... you tell me...
Let me, first of all, address the point that Zia made, and that is the cost to the British taxpayer for these people being in prison. We've just talked about a horrific case where two men have been sentenced to 10 and 3/4 years, effectively, in prison for a horrific rape. Now, nobody around this table, I'm sure, is suggesting that they should not go to prison and they should not serve that sentence.
I would ask the victims' parents. I would say to them, what would you prefer? Would you prefer a jail sentence and then deportation, or would you prefer immediate deportation? Because me personally, I would probably just want immediate deportation. Why should taxpayers have to pay for these guys to be in some kind of youth offender place with the PlayStations and all the rest of it?
Let's be realistic about it.
I am being realistic. That's what I would do.
As rapists, they will not be in a youth offender institution having PlayStations, right? But the point I'm making is if they were simply deported back to their country of origin, they probably wouldn't serve a prison sentence at all. They would get no punishment, and Zia would no doubt say, and they'll be on the next trip back here. OK, so I think it's important that if somebody commits a crime in this country, they serve a sentence in this country.
So Barry, what you're saying is this country, you're basically saying that the citizens of this country should accept that Britain cannot defend its own borders and has no control over people coming here, and then using that same admission against the argument that people who commit crimes in this country should not be deported back to the country. Your argument, Barry, let me repeat your argument back to you. Britain has no control over its borders, so we have to keep them in British jail and pay for that into perpetuity, because if we actually deport them, they might come back again. That is the insane learned helplessness that is pervasive throughout the political class, Barry, and there's nothing about that that's remotely acceptable.
Don't tell lies about what I say, and I won't tell the truth about what you say, OK? Let's be clear what I did say.
Go on.
OK? What I said is that if somebody commits a crime, a serious crime, like rape in this country, I want to see them serve a prison sentence.
You said, Barry, we can play back the tape. You said, and then they'd be on the first flight, but you said they'd be right back here. You said they would be right back here.
And Zia would then say that they would be right back here.
OK, so you're saying that they wouldn't be right back here then?
What I said.
Well, I think that's the primary concern of people. And we can ensure, just like many other countries do, Barry, we can ensure that those people serve incarceration sentences inside their home countries.
You lose the argument when you keep talking over me. OK?
Go on.
Very quick,
the point is they need to serve their sentence for their crime. If they're not going to serve it in their country of origin, I want to make damn sure.
Well, how about you make darn sure, Barry, that they serve that sentence in their country of origin? That's the whole point of this argument. And I'm sorry, that is exactly the argument Labour MPs make time and again.
I've got to tell you, I can hear you shouting at your tellies and your radios saying to me, Michelle, you don't want them serving any sentences anyway. You want them not to be in this country in the first place. I can hear you. Don't worry about that. Coming up, the conversation about the absolute clown world that we live in continues. I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Dewbs & Co. with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dewbs, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Hello everybody, Michelle Dewberry here with you till 7 o'clock tonight. Zia Youssef and Barry Gardner are alongside you. At the top of the programme, when I was talking to you about the absolutely disgraceful story that's all become uncovered tonight, I was asking you, do you think that we should have a national emergency now over the not-so-small bird crisis, yes or no? Let me tell you right now, we have been absolutely inundated. Barry, I'll look at you when I say this. The viewers and listeners watching this programme tonight have responded in numbers that I can't even remember responding to one of these polls. 100% of people have said, yes, there should be some kind of national emergency declared now. What do you say back to those viewers?
Well, look, I understand why they are frustrated, why they are angry, why they feel that this is out of control, and I understand their anger. All I can try and do is to reassure them that the government feels similarly frustrated and angry as they do.
No one believes you, Barry. They don't believe that.
I understand that people don't believe, but, you know, people in Westminster, whichever party they're in, are not trying to allow this to happen. They are trying to stop it. Now, Zia will have simplistic solutions. In fact, they have all sorts of other ramifications that make it not so simple. The government is trying to do what it can, and it's got a number of strands of action that it's doing that we've discussed many, many times on this programme.
We are heading for trouble in this country because there's only so much that people
What I'd ask you, Michelle,
with.
is by declaring a national emergency, what is it that you think would be able to be done by doing that?
Well, let me answer your question directly.
Can't be done at the moment.
When we had COVID, you guys, well, it wasn't you at the time, but the Parliament at the time declared essentially a national emergency situation, which meant that a variety of different laws and all the rest of it could be bypassed, new things that could be brought in, all of us could get locked down into our homes because you regarded it as a national emergency. Declaring a national emergency for the safety of women and children in this country by the imports of so many now third-world cultures, it is just horrendous for us now, the fears that we have for ourselves and our children. You would declare a national emergency. Point one, it would make people feel that you actually understand the enormity and gravitas of the situation. Point number two, it would make you explore whether or not there are things that we can do differently, i.e. many of my viewers and listeners would like to see you explore whether or not things like the Navy can be deployed into the Channel to push these things back. It would give us a solid stance to attack this issue. People do not believe, I can't stress it enough, I know because I talk to these people every day, they get in touch with me every single day and tell me they feel unsafe in their homes, they feel unsafe in their parks. I'm fed up of reading the story that I started with tonight and everyone's going on about this girl, a 15-year-old girl. She was drinking vodka in the park with her friends. So what? I used to drink vodka in a park with my friends, sorry Mum, when I was 15 and all the rest of it. We were not snatched by foreign men and pulled into bushes and raped, while the guy doing it, by the way, is ringing his friend and saying, come over quickly, I've got a girl, and over he comes. That never used to happen. This country never used to be like this. It's changing so quickly, so deeply.
Michelle, let's be clear. Sadly, the truth is that young people were had sexual offences against them. They were raped.
Not like this.
This is
not like this.
This is an appalling crime. It needs to be dealt with that, and we need to deal with the safety of young people.
This country was never like this. This country was never like this. My viewers, you know, you don't need me to lecture you, and I apologise. I've ranted. I'm even more fed up about it than Reform UK tonight, because I'm raging. This country never used to be like this. You don't need me to tell you. You feel it. You go out into your own streets, your own communities, your own towns. You talk to your own kids. You know what I am talking about. I don't feel that this government, and certainly not the last lot either, took this seriously. But look, that's all I've got time for. I didn't even get a chance to talk about the ridiculousness with Joey Barton. I'll save that for another day. I need to go to the pub. Thanks, guys. Have a great night, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. For the next 24 to 36 hours, Storm Bram is likely to cause some problems. We have warnings in place for both wind and heavy rainfall. The storm system still down to the southwest. It's been intensifying all through the day, and the rain already setting in across the southwest of England, spreading up into parts of Wales. We've had a lot of rain here recently, so this extra rainfall, we could see 100 millimetres more rain falling over the hills, is likely to cause some problems, potential for some flooding. Warnings extending further north as the rain pushes further north. Most areas turning wet by morning time. Going to be a pretty warm night across the south and increasingly windy. So warnings in place for Tuesday for both wind and rain as this weather system steadily pushes northwards. The rain may actually start to ease across some parts of the south, but further heavy pulses over the hills of southwest England and South Wales likely to cause further issues. An awful lot of rain falling over northern England, southern Scotland for that morning rush hour. So that is likely to cause a lot of spray, a lot of surface water. And then the winds really start to strengthen. I mean, they'll pick up tonight around the coast of Wales and southwest England, but strengthening further during Tuesday. You can see the swirl, that's the low pressure, that is Storm Bram, bringing particularly gusty winds through Tuesday afternoon over Northern Ireland and then strengthening into the evening over western parts of Scotland. We'll see something a bit drier developing over parts of England and Wales, maybe even some sunny spells, and the temperatures up into 15, 16 degrees, but obviously not feeling all that mild with the rain and those winds, which probably peak in the northwest of Scotland during Tuesday evening. That's why we've got an amber warning in place here. Damaging gusts of wind 70, 80, perhaps 90 miles an hour, likely to cause some disruption. The potential for power issues, strong winds across much of northern Britain through Tuesday evening as well. For the full details of all of those weather warnings, visit the Met Office website.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making us the fastest growing news website in the nation, because the truth matters, and so do you.
Good evening, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. On the M4 in South Gloucestershire, lanes are closed between junctions 18 and 17 due to a traffic incident, causing 30-minute delays. Cheshire East's M6 southbound entry slip at junction 19 has lane closures due to a collision. The Norfolk A47 westbound is closed after a multi-vehicle incident, causing hour-long delays. The A9 northbound at Cairney Bray is partially blocked by a broken-down vehicle.